Let's start with objectives of audit. Objectives of audit is SA 200. So that's the first essay. In conducting audit of financial statements, objectives of an auditor in accordance with SA 200. Overall objectives of the independent auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with the standards of auditing. This is the full name. So let's write this. SA 200. Overall objectives of independent auditor and conduct of audit in accordance with standards and auditing. Standards on auditing. So that's the whole name. So we have two objectives. Scroll chart. First one is obtain reasonable assurance that financial statements are obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion on whether the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with an applicable FRF. FS are as a whole free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. Free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. That enables the audit to express an opinion whether FS prepared in all material aspects as per applicable FRF. The second is to report on the financial statements and communicate as required by the essays. So, report on the FS. And communicate as per essays. So these are the two objectives of overall SA 200, overall objectives of an independent auditor and conduct of audit in accordance with standards on audit. Two objectives. One, obtain reasonable assurance about obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements in all material aspects are free from risk of material misstatements. It should be it should not be MN. It should be ROMN. Free from risk of material misstatements due to fraud or error, to express an opinion whether the financial statements are prepared in all material aspects according to applicable financial reporting framework. And then the next objective is to report on the financial statements and communicate as per the standards on auditing. Now this is an exam question. This is important. Reasonable assurance should be distinguished from absolute assurance. So absolute assurance is complete assurance or guarantee that financial statements are free from material misstatements. However, reasonable assurance is not a complete guarantee. It's just a high level of assurance, but it's not a complete assurance. So that's where the inherent limitations come. An audit is giving a reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatements. But we cannot give an absolute assurance because we do not know. Sometimes the management will have such sophisticated accounts that we won't be able to understand whether there is any fraud that is being hidden. So the auditor just gives a reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatements, which should be supported by the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence that he obtains during the course of audit. So, audit of financial statements is carried out by the auditor with professional competence and skills in accordance with essays. Audit procedures are applied in accordance with essays. Audit evidence is obtained and evaluated. On the basis of that, conclusions are drawn and opinion is formed. It leads to a high level of assurance, which is called reasonable assurance, but not an absolute assurance. Now, the next thing is misstatements. The auditor has to obtain reasonable assurance about FS as a whole are free from misstatements caused by fraud or error. He has to see the effect of misstatements on financial statement as a whole in totality. Obtaining reasonable assurance enables the auditor to express an opinion on whether the FS are prepared in all material aspects in accordance with the applicable FRS. So he just have to obtain reasonable assurance. Opinion is reported and communicated in accordance with the audit findings through a written report as required by essays. So we generally go for audit. We have to see, if we read an audit report, we can find statements like this. So it's always better to go through an actual audit report which will help in understanding these things in more clarity.